Selena, there was Valencia, hi. I mean, come on, where's Crystal here? Yeah, exactly. Here's my people. Arlene, there you go. All right, so I see, I don't know the other people here. I know Crystal, but the others, I'm not sure you've gone through the BOI, but if you've gone through the BOI, come on, I want to see you guys. So I wanted to have two conversations today because so much is happening with you guys, and I wanted to get your input. You know, we're starting another series of classes in January, and I wanted to, number one, get your input on the state of your business right now in relationship to moving to the $15 an hour wage increase over 5 years, and in relationship to the reimbursements for your enrollment now starting to change, and it's going to shrink down to nothing probably in another 3 months. And are you prepared? How are you running your numbers, and how do you see yourselves coming out at the other side of this? So, you know, Juanita, can you unmic yourself and maybe you can just get started with us where you're at with all your businesses? Because you're running so many children.
Yeah, we are, and I'm driving, so I'm kind of doing a little bit of both now. Yeah, but we're pretty stable at this point. Remember, I told you that we were open via the entire pandemic, and we've been having our challenges. But what has helped me is that I have been able to secure funding from various sources like NANA. Everything that came my way, even ELC, when they offer the various grants, I put in for those, and I'm able to kind of sustain myself. Right now, I'm operating at from anywhere from 70 to 95%.
Wow.
Filled.
That's great.
And, you know, so yeah, I'm not doing really hurting that bad. We'll see this next pay period and see what the checks are going to look like, because they're going almost on actual and with over, I think, like 16 or 8 to just help us out with that, with things. But I'm working it. My crew, Miss Crystal, Mrs. Valencia, they're all on board. And who's been a great team of people to work, that we were all able to work together, because they know that this is all about recruitment. We got to make sure that we give an outstanding service in order to, my grandson's in the back seat. So, yeah, we want to make sure that we give our outstanding service to the public and the people that we have. We've actually called every parent that was enrolled to make sure that they know that we were there. We completely follow the CDC rules and regulations. As a matter of fact, we have weekly meetings on that to make sure that we're doing what we got to do. I decontaminate bi-weekly, have a company to come in, clean and decontaminate the place, my spaces. We've had one COVID case so far, and that was during the summer. And we ended up closing, as I said before, we closed for the 14 days during the summer, and for not the schools, we closed the summer camp only for the 14 days. And out of 22 kids, 17 of our children, as I stated earlier, came back. So I think it's all about just being attentive to your business and following the rules. And the biggest thing for me is staying connected. That is so important. You know, it's nothing for me to get on the phone, call ELC, call Evalio directly, or call you if I don't understand something. And so far we've been working it out pretty well. We've been doing everything that's been ordered for us to do, and just following the rules. And the parents are coming. We're in the middle of now one of my schools becoming reaccredited, so we're working hard at that. The biggest challenge that I'm having right now, Robin, honestly, and I think a lot of us are facing it, would be this reconciliation now with the Head Start and with SR, with monies that they didn't give us actual, that we're trying to now get ourselves out of this mix of trying to pay them back so much money. But other than that,
Juanita, I want to address that. I'm glad you, because I'm getting so many calls from all of you guys about the reconciliation. So let me tell you the conversations we're having. Juanita, we lost you.
No, you don't
Okay,
have me now?
I got you now. So I wanted to
I'm
just
here.
stop you for a second to talk about this reconciliation since you brought it up. So I'm getting a lot of calls, and I have to tell you is that everybody has to take the emotion out of this. Avelia does not want to close anybody down. And I know, Juanita, you do a good job of this. And you have to start with where you're at and work backwards. All these spreadsheets that we gave you guys, so many of you are from our BLI, and if you need them, you need to call our office and you need to call us and we'll help you. But you have to know, you have to go back and you have to create your spreadsheets of exactly how your accounting occurred. And I say take 1 month, take the first month where there was a discrepancy and really drill down on those numbers, because you will be able to see in that first month, did you get overpaid or did you get underpaid? A lot of people got underpaid, right? So did you get overpaid or did you get underpaid? And where are the discrepancies? And then ask the ELC, I'm doing a 1 month snapshot. Does this appear right to you? So that you follow then that 1 month snapshot and then you work through the next months. That's number one. The next thing is you need to put together a cash flow for the next year. Just like you learned in BLI, you've got to forecast forward, I would say for 24 months. And then you have to be able to say to Avelio, all right, here's my revenues, here's my fixed expenses, here's the profits or the excess revenue that I have available to repay this debt. Now, here's the caveat, guys. Running the subsidies, you've been getting paid all along for seats that were not in attendance. So if you should have made money over the summer. So you're going to have to justify now you got that additional capital. How does that additional capital play into the amount of shortfall that you have that you owe the ELC? And then you're going to have to say to Avelio, here's the hard numbers. Just take all the emotion out of it. I have $100,000 in revenue, and of that, I've got $15,000 in profit. I owe you $40,000. Okay, I need a 3 or 4 year payout plan. And if not, I'm out of business.
Right.
All right, so you guys have to take charge of this. And once I get, Jeff, we're going through this with so many people. Once we get everybody off the cliff and say, just take charge of this, and you've got to negotiate here. We all talked about this in BLI about negotiating. You got to negotiate with the ELC. You got to say, all right, I want to stay in business. I do not want to lose my SR license. I don't want to lose my accreditation. Here's what this looked like. Now, if they want their money paid in 12 months, and you're going to have to go and get a bank loan, and you're going to have to prove to the bank, then I can pay you back over 15 years, whatever that looks like, with the interest, amortize it in. If you can't, then you need to close your business.
Robin.
Yes.
Robin, this is Reverend Dinkins. I tend to take a different position on this reconciliation issue.
Okay.
Simply because I did what I normally do. I submitted my attendance the proper way that you asked us to. You paid me. You never told me that there's a possibility of me having to repay money because you're guesstimating on what you're paying me. In the past, I sent the invoice, you paid me. It was my assumption that what you paid me was for the services that I've done. To come back a year later and say to me that I owe you money when the error is on the state end is non-acceptable to me. Okay, not to mention the gross errors in terms of calculating what I owe them and was able to prove to them through my timesheets that their number was grossly off. Then they work my numbers and come back with a smaller number. And I'm saying to them, even at the smaller number, I don't owe you. I don't owe you simply because I operated according to the contract. I sent you in my invoice, you paid me. You never at one time told me there would be a possibility that I would have to repay you because you're guesstimating. Not one time. Because if you had given me the option, I would have chose to be underpaid during that time, as opposed to come back and you tell me a year later that I owe you money that I got to reconcile. So that's the position that I take. Everyone else may not take that position, but if it was the reverse, I'm certain that the state would tell us, ha, too bad, this is the way it is.
Okay, so can I address this? First of all, I am so happy to see you, Reverend Dinkins. Reverend Dinkins has been such a fan and so helpful to me. So I want to first start out with something, since we have Jeff and Reverend Dinkins. I don't know if there's another man on the phone, but ladies, do you hear the difference in the conversation? So Reverend, first of all, you're approaching this with a lot of testosterone, and I applaud you for that. So here's the question I want to ask you. When the bottom line comes to the bottom line, you can hire a lawyer and take that argument to court. However, I don't know what the cost of that will be, and they own the contract. So the question may be mute. It may be, yes, it was an egregious error that has occurred. So where are you now in the process of this egregious error if you want to maintain your contract? Now, I'm just being more like a guy in this, Reverend, okay? So it's like, all right, here's your choice. Take them to court. Everything.
So Robin, as a group of daycare providers, if we all had a collective stand based upon business law, it may not even take hiring a lawyer, because you're right, even after you get a verdict from the lawyer, there's still the time that it takes for a settlement. You don't grow gray hairs. I get that. And that's not necessarily the position that I prefer to take. But at the same time, I'm not going to just say, oh yeah, I owe you money, right?
Because, right, I agree, absolutely.
So as a group, we collectively need to have a organized protest, right? Because the error was not on us.
So
the error was on the state. None of us was given the opportunity to choose a lower payment versus them paying us based upon a particular month. Because if they had honestly told me at the beginning of this, when they were going through their transfer of how you're going to report in the systems, I would have chose being paid a lower amount with the hope that I would get whatever they owe me when they straighten it all out as a larger check. That way I don't owe anybody. We were not given that opportunity, right? That's the first basis of my argument, right? And so having that conversation with them, and then the gross neglect of them being able to even reasonably tell me what I owe them says that they have absolutely no clue. So regardless of what they send to me, it becomes a problem, because now I don't know how to calculate what you owe me because I don't get the documents. I trust what you pay me is what the services that I perform. For you to come back now and tell me that I owe you money a year later, not only does it put our business or the absence of the contract at jeopardy, right? But it is just business-wise, fundamentally, it is not the proper business. It is not business done with what word I want to use.
You're trying to use the word ethical. So I'm going to come back at you because I got to give everybody a reality check. Yes. So now you need it. So there's two paths here. So where does the money come from? It comes from the legislature first. So go to your legislative representative, and then it comes out of a block grant out of the federal government. So call your senator, call Marco Rubio, call Rick Scott, and you got to have that conversation, because the money, that's how it runs. That's one lane. It's not the ELC and the OEL. Don't even waste your time. So go to the legislature and go up to your senators and your congressional offices. The other piece of this, Reverend Dinkins, is there's a reality here from a legal perspective. You may be right from an ethical perspective, and your conversation has a great deal of gravitas, but you need to now put yourself in the shoes of being a lawyer or the decision maker, a judge, and how would this play out? And the first question is going to be, who owes what? That's number one. The second question is going to be, how is that debt resolved? That's number one and two. Now, Reverend, I think where you have some play is because of the situation to negotiate a long-term settlement so that it doesn't impact your ability to be in business and your cash flow over years. So a judge may say, you know what, that sounds fair to me, ELC, you can't put everybody out of business because there's no way they can repay this debt in 12 or 24 months. So your negotiation might be, all right, we're going to take 10 years to pay it out. So, you got to just be, you're a smart business guy. I know you, and you got to be straightforward about this. Sit in the other seat, because just blaming it on them is going to put you out of business.
Well, I hear what you're saying, Robin. I haven't totally decided how I'm going to respond to it. Once I submitted my documentation, the amount that they said that we owe them was 1/10 of what the original amount was.
And we're finding that out.
But if I was to pursue this, if I had the resources to pursue this with an attorney, I think I have a very good chance of winning because of their inability to determine really what is owed, except we give them the information. Okay. And, I have my sign-in sheets from 5 years ago. So that was the thing that made them understand. And we did everything the way they told us. We uploaded them to the Early Learning Coalition website here in Miami-Dade. So it wasn't like they couldn't find them. It wasn't like they couldn't get the material and give me the correct invoice. It was, we're not doing it. This is what we're going to do because this is the easiest thing for us to do. And then you come back and lay these large, when I first saw the letter, I almost fell out. It's like, really?
Yeah. Right. Well, we know this. We know this was egregious. We know they made a tremendous mistake. All right. So we know all of that. You're right. So being right now is not going to get you move forward. How many kids do you have in your program?
Remember now, my model is different from most of the Early Learning Center models.
Right.
But in terms of Early Learning Coalition, I've never had more than 20 kids.
Wait, forget more or less, 20 kids. So let's say you had 20, let's just use a number, okay? Yeah. You had 20 kids, all right. So I don't know how much you owe, but I do know that you got paid for 20 kids over the summer, whether they were there or not.
No, my kids were here, we never closed.
Okay, so that's another thing that you have in your bucket, that you never closed, right? That's a very important piece of information. So you had no opportunity to create additional capital for yourself. That's a negotiating point. I mean, I'm talking to you right now from how do you negotiate this? Because if you want to go to battle with them, and I think you all should, by the way, you all should go, but it's not Avilio's fault, all right? You should go to your legislator. You should say, this money is not running through the OEL properly. It's the OEL that created the website, not Avilio, right? So, if you want to create change, that's what we do with the BLI. That's why I want everybody to take charge as business owners or social enterprises. You're running a social enterprise, Reverend, but you're running it underneath the ELC for the child care portion. I want you, and we've had this conversation, to stand out there, and I'm Reverend Dinkins, and get every other faith-based organization under you and say, wait a minute, we're running social enterprises here, and we're going directly to Marco Rubio. What are you fooling around for? So the bottom line here is you either, first of all, figure out the debt. Reverend Dinkins gave everybody an important piece of information here. When he ran the numbers, he owed probably 80% less than what he thought. So you got to run the numbers. You got to have to never allow this to happen. If you have 1 month where there's a discrepancy, or you're not getting the information back from the ELC, you need to put on file, I have not received the reports that I need. I'm making a note of this. I'm sending it to the OEL. I'm sending it to my congressman, because historically this thing occurred, and I'm never going to ever have this happen to me again. That's the reality here. Because the reality moving forward, so we're running right now programs in Jacksonville, and I have to thank some of the people on here. Where's Mary Poppins and Reverend Dinkins and Juanita? You guys were in our first classes, right? Like 8 years ago. We're now all over the state, and we're getting ready to scale national. So here's the deal. You either are going to run like businesses and be out there as business owners and operators of important social enterprises, and be in front of follow the money. You guys are the ones walking into Marco Rubio. You guys are the ones going to Washington. I took a whole bunch of my alumni to Washington this year, and here's what we learned. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Donna Shalala, they put all the congressional people around us, and they don't know how the money runs. They were shocked to understand by the time the dollars got to you guys what was occurring. They have no idea. Whose fault is it? Right. Yours. All right? I'm putting it all back at you. Your fault. And now you're going to have $15 a wage increases. We all know that you guys, employees in your business, are not getting equitably paid. So here's the bigger question, Reverend. You tell me how, with the reimbursements you're getting now, for most of you, you're getting to $15. We're running now our classes in January, and I want you to help us now with recruiting the classes and getting your people into this, because we're running spreadsheets and business plans. You tell me how you're getting to $15 an hour over 5 years. You got to work backwards now in my program. You prove to me you can get to $15 an hour. And if you're at $15 an hour, you got to prove to me that you can get to $20 an hour in 5 years.
But you can't do it with the current pay rate.
Exactly. That's my point. So, but you got to then be able to say, as a group, I know what I'm going to do when I compile all this, because I've got 100 people right now in my program. I'm in Jacksonville. Right now we're operating Jacksonville, Orlando, and Palm Beach. And we start in Dade and Broward, 3 more classes. And you know, we're scaling up, because we're getting calls from, actually the DCF Way is working with me now to see, okay, how does she bring this statewide? So I'm going to collectively from you guys be able to say, here's the numbers, Marco Rubio, you tell us. We're not asking you for anything. Tell us how you're going to run subsidies. End of story. But you guys got to do the work. We're going to be doing for all of you, for our alumni, a budget workshop that George from SCORE does. It's so fabulous. We're going to rerun your numbers. Get on the alumni programs when we send them out. We're trying to keep you guys not going. When this thing shakes out, I can tell you right now, those of you who are still in the business are going to do tremendous. You guys are going to be major players in this industry if you make it through this. When Juanita makes it through this, it's going to be a big deal. Reverend Dinkins, if you can shake it out now with what you're doing, you will be at the forefront for faith-based social enterprises in the conversation of what's going on. I'm telling you this right now. So I'm on the phone with all of you, like 100. They're calling me all the time.
Robin, what would be helpful for me, and each time I talk with you, it's enlightening and it's helpful. But I know for me personally, and maybe for others, what will be helpful is if, as an alumni, understanding that process of advocacy at the state and federal level, be beneficial for me. So even if it was a workshop or whatever works best for you, for me at this point, you know, in terms of being able to address this particular issue, that would be helpful. And I don't know what your plans are, but that would be helpful.
I'm doing it. You're in. I'll take you with me.
All right.
All right. We'll do a workshop. Absolutely. You got it. So all right. So since our time is limited, right? Now I need to ask you guys. So we are recruiting now for DADE in Spanish and in English, FIU North. It's all virtual this year because of the COVID. I'm not putting anybody at risk. So I want you to help us handpick who should be in this program. Do you have a second person in your center that should be taking this program now and working through the numbers? If any of you want to take this again, we've had a lot of our alumni now wanting to take this again because they want to shake out and do a new business plan. It's no problem. You're in. You just got to let us know. So Aaron, I need you to put up you put up the application. So Aaron put up an application form, and I know Jeff and I know Louise has sent out the flyers for applications. I need you guys to circulate these applications. I'm going to real quick put up, Aaron, I'm going to put up a real quick PowerPoint because I want, some of you have never been in the BLI, but most of you have, so that you understand what we're all about. Reverend Dinkins, I need you to understand the scope of what we're doing so that you can talk to other people. So I'm going to ask you all just to pay attention for 10 minutes. And Aaron, let's just move through this. Let's go to the next slide. So you all know that our first question is that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So getting of you all to rethink, especially now, given the circumstances, why the heck you're in this business. Next, Aaron. All right. You see, we all know what we're into: financial acumen, marketing, employee relations, negotiations, real estate, realignment of what is occurring in this industry. There's going to be a massive shakeout now, and to what is going to occur in the future. The most important question now, especially for somebody like Reverend Dinkins, what is your succession plan? What is your exit strategy? How the heck are you getting out of this business 20 years from now or 10 years from now, right? Reverend Dinkins, how are you? You've spent so much of your life in this community, building up this social enterprise. I want you to start to think backwards. Next, Aaron. A child care owner as a social entrepreneur, just what we've been talking about. I want you all to remember, you're either a social entrepreneur or you're running a social enterprise. That means you all must create profits, and you're reinvesting those profits in your mission. So if you're faith-based, the only difference is that you have a revenue line of donations. That's the only thing that's different for you. Next. So here's what we put together, and this will interest you. So we have collaborated and put all of these people together. FIU, NOVA, we always have an Institute of Higher Education. We now are in microloans. So when the microloan came out from Dade County, we moved over $500,000. We got into the child care businesses in Dade County within 6 weeks because we had our pulse on what was going on in the community. So you know we're aligned with the business sector. And here's, Reverend, what we're talking about. We're getting very aligned with legislative and public policy initiatives. They are now listening to us and they're calling us. So we're in Washington, we're in Tallahassee, but here's the difference. I don't want it to be me. It can't be me talking to Marco Rubio. Who cares about me? I'm just like any other bureaucracy. My job is to coalesce all of you, to go up, to speak to these people on behalf of yourselves. That's the difference of the BLI. All right, next. 4 Saturdays, all right, next. Okay, so for the masterclass, for those of you who have never taken it, it's 4 sessions, 4 Saturdays. You work with local businesses. There's an online platform now. You have the alumni programming, continuing education, which I see a lot of you on here are taking advantage. Some of you are not taking advantage of. And then our mentoring program. And we're really developing the mentoring program. We've got 25 mentors across the state right now. That's going to be our leadership team. Juanita has done an incredible job mentoring. I know Arlene was on. Arlene is actually running Palm Beach now. Our mentors now are moving into positions of actually running the programs in the programs. They're the Robins all over. All right, let's move to the next. Here's the learning objectives. So really understanding your why, understanding your strengths and weaknesses. I suggest all of you do a new SWOT analysis right now. Those of you who have been through the program, the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities and threats. So we know one of the threats is the $15 minimum wage. But one of the opportunities is the $15 minimum wage, because it's going to get you in alignment with Walmart and with everybody else so that you can start to get more attractive talent into your enterprises. The key performance measurements, again, this enrollment versus ratios, private pay and subsidies. And then, of course, the competition, capital, and reading the financial statements and using our financial statements. Those of you who don't know where your spreadsheets are, our Excel spreadsheets, call the office and let us send them to you. Use them. All right, next. And then we're doing a lot now with recruitment retention of employees. We know that's a problem, and we know that this $15 increase is gonna, I'm not exactly sure how this is all gonna shake out for you guys. We do know that we do not use the word staff or employee. We're using the word talent. We need to really value the talent in our organization and get the talent to understand how they work together to create the revenue that you need. So for instance, if you have a one-year-old teacher, losing my voice, and she holds that class for them to get into the 2-year-old classroom, she deserves a bonus because she's helped you hold your revenue over the lifetime value of the customer. So again, when you take the alumni classes, we go into this again, but at a higher level. In the master class, we go into these ideas. And then, of course, about negotiations. Next, Aaron. All right, next. All right, Aaron, you can take that down. Now, I've run through this real quick. So I raced through this for everybody because we have so many of our alumni on here, but I need our alumni to realize, remember when we initially started down this path, that was what this was all about. Now how can we use these tools and elevate the conversation? So I really appreciate, Reverend Dinkins, what you brought up. It's, it's what's occurring. I'd love to hear from anybody else who has anything that they'd like to add to the conversation. Is there anybody else here? Who's at BOLA right now? I see BOLA Childcare. Who's on the phone for BOLA? Is there nobody there?
It's supposed to be Josephine.
Oh, Josephine, are you there? No, she's not there. See, this is why when you come to the BOI, you're not allowed to, you got to be on screen, on camera. If I have to get dressed, you got to get dressed.
Robin, one other thing, if I may, I look at early as my major focus, is prevention, right? Yes. And prevention run the gamut from prenatal to 24 years old. Early learning is just one component of that.
Right.
But early learning is so vital if we digest or believe the report of Dr. Unda and Dr. Ferretti in terms of adverse childhood experiences. A collaboration of early learning centers working together as a part of a broader comprehensive community plan to create what we call the village, right? And really it opens up the possibility for us to get different streams of funding, right? To do what we're in business to do, which is early childhood development. And so I'm interested in any learning center that wants to understand the value of that, but certainly partner with those that between 79th Street, 36th Street, 37th Avenue, and 7th Avenue, Northwest here in Miami-Dade County, to discuss how we coming together can obtain grant funding for doing the services that we do in a broader scheme of a comprehensive community prevention plan. So I just wanted to put that out there and say, in addition to collectively advocating on behalf of this reconciliation, that there are other opportunities for us too to be effective in our social entrepreneurship in the communities where we serve.
All right, so that is a great idea. You're creating a block. So here's what I would do, and you can put it on our Facebook, and even maybe Aaron can go through our alumni and pull some of the alumni for you to get in touch with, Reverend, because now you go in to see your commissioner, that whole group together, and now you go into your legislature. So you follow for your little district, go follow the money as a group. Well, I'm telling you right now, they're going to respond.
Yeah, we feel pretty optimistic with the new elections that have occurred, and both at the commission level and of course at other levels in Miami-Dade County. And the missing piece has been the collective, collaborative, solid partnerships among the early childhood development agencies.
Absolutely, because you guys are letting the OEL and other big institutions come represent you. You can't do that. You got to go yourself. Now I want to tell you, great, Biden's in. Great, hopefully more money will come. It's going to run out in a minute, and it's the big dogs that are going to get the money. You guys have got to become the big dog in the fight. Everybody's talking about childcare now. So your idea is a great idea. Get that block together, go see the commissioner, follow because you're in the same, I'll bet you're in the same congressional district, what you're talking about. Stay in your congressional district, and I am telling you, you will get results. I promise you that. And I suggest all of you do that. Find your district. So Arlene, Arlene, can you unmute yourself? I just want to throw you into this conversation because we have all these home-based. And how do we get the home-based involved? Let's say in where Reverend Dinkins' block is, how would we get some of these home-based in there? Because home-based is going to be critical now.
Hey, Robin. Hey, everyone. I agree with the Reverend. However, we only have one family home, I believe one or two in that area. But I would like that to be extended. That village you're referring to, Reverend, let's not just leave it within that block area that you're talking about. Let's just open it up to all childcare facilities. I think you get a better response when we have a bigger amount of numbers, because the need is all throughout the county. So I think we need to open it up. If we open it up, we have more directors, teachers, and owners that will participate. And we could trade information and network and really be bigger and stronger. And like Robin said, we need to take the lead on this. We are the ones that are working daily. We are the ones that are the foot soldiers. But when it comes to decision making, we are not there. So if we're going to show up, let's all show up, let's all be present, and let's all create possibilities. And we're not only doing that for us, but we are doing this for the lifeline of early childhood, our teachers and future owners that are going to be coming into early education. So we really need to create this this network, a strong network.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. Arlene, this is what I'm going to do, because you guys are talking. I hate talk. I'll host. Reverend, you and Arlene can be the moderators. The BLI will send out something to Dade County. We're going to host. Reverend Dinkins, you come up with the language, right? So here's what has to occur, though. So where you need the numbers, yes, but then the numbers have to get put into blocks. Because, Arlene, you have to start. So he has one block. Then the next zip code area has another block, the next district area. You got to follow the districts. It's a pyramid. So at the bottom, everybody's in a different, coalesced in their district area. Then you move up the pyramid and it's the next level, which is, let's say, Marco Rubio and Rick Scott, right? It's more of that area. And then you move up the next level and it's federal and it's the president, right? So I will help you. Tell me, when do you want to do this?
Let's do it, Robin, as soon as possible, because here's where the connections are. Connections are being able to address the needs of indigenous communities using evidence-based practices, all of which we know, all of which we build our business on. Early childhood is a component that fits in perfect, because there's a direct correlation between the violence that is occurring, the mental health issues that are occurring, and all of the other deterrents in these communities based upon youth experience in the early ages of their life. Everything that we've learned about brain development and the importance of it from 0 to 6 has proven to have correlations of what plays out in a child's life.
Reverend Dinkins, everyone knows that. I need you to follow the money, all right? I need you to do this because you need to figure out how the hell you're getting to $15 an hour with the amount of money that's coming down on subsidies, or you can forget that conversation. So what I want you, from a legislative perspective, those legislators know that talk, all right? And they'll agree, but you really don't need that. What you're saying to me is, I need money, right? Can we all agree? What do you really need here? Tell me what you really need. You need money, right?
So in addition to money though, Robin,
what else do you need?
We need clear processes on how to truly impact early childhood development experiences in the lives of children.
All right, you're not going to get it from the legislator, from this, all right? You'll get that from someplace else. I want to get you real clear here, because I believe that you have a powerhouse of an idea, and I'm willing to back it, all right? But you got to be right in that lane. That other conversation is a great conversation. And you go in that direction, everybody's going to love you because you're not asking them for anything. You want to get in the conversation of, you tell me where I'm getting the money to get to these wages and to have the kinds of revenues to create the kinds of programming outcomes that you're asking us for. You go in that lane, man, nobody's going to want to talk to you unless you've got unless you've got some power behind you. Gotcha. But that's the lane you need to be in, because the other conversation doesn't matter. It doesn't, right? So now you're going to tell me, Reverend Dinkins, you're going to send Aaron a date. You're going to send him the time. You're going to send him, how long is this? Is this an hour? Is this an hour and a half? I'll send that Arlene. And you guys, since you said it, and then you can put together a panel. You can have an open discussion. We'll host it. I'll get behind you. I'll help you. But I ain't going to do it for you.
That's fair, Robin. That's really fair. That's fair. And I'm not sure if I have Aaron's email, but if he could put it in the chat, I'll follow up on that. And then the other thing is that whoever you identify as the panels, I like to meet with them prior to.
No, you're not me. Okay. You identify and Arlene can identify.
So okay, great. So you said Arlene and myself, and it seems like Ms. Juanita has been, out front, but whoever they are, and everyone is welcome, we need to have a meeting prior to, so that we can gain some understanding of where we are as a group and understand the picture better, and then be able to better plan, not only just for the meeting, but also going forward.
And
because I need the guidance. I need the guidance in terms of the politics, because I've never had to do politics before.
All right, I'm behind you. All right, I'll get Jody, I'll get a lobbyist, I'll get whatever you need. I'll do the meetings. But I want Arlene, first of all, Arlene represents family home-based. You represent social enterprise faith-based. If you want to do Juanita, and Juanita wants to do, she represents then, entrepreneurs, the entrepreneurship side. But it's up to you guys. I've done all this work to create grown-ups in the room, not for Robin to do it anymore, okay? I'll back you up. I'll host the meetings. I'll be at the meetings. I'll get people to train you on how to be lobbyists. I'll help you make the connections, but I'm not doing it. Is that
Well,
fair,
I
Jeff?
think if
Since
we're
Jeff,
just all working together, we can do it. And I was knocked off for a few minutes, so I missed quite a bit of your meeting. But I totally agree with Reverend Dinkins with what he's saying. And I'm willing to do the work with you, Reverend Dinkins, so that we can get things started. Because there is a lot of work. I remember, Robin, you invited me to DC, to Washington. When you went up there, you were actually get us in front of people and to tell them what our needs are. And it's going to be up to us, like you said, to really bring the numbers together, to be able to show them exactly why we cannot afford $15 an hour and then other issues that we're having right now. So I'm willing to work with you, Reverend Dinkins. I'll make a contact with you later, and I would love to be involved in it.
and so here's what I want to change the conversation. It's not, of course you can afford. You need $15 an hour. Just, you want them to give you the money to cover it. Not, I can't afford. Forget it. You guys, it's about time you created $15 an hour minimum wage. Where have you guys been? This is what I'd say to legislators, Marco Rubio. It's about time somebody created $15 an hour jobs. First of all, he's going to love you because he voted for it, right? Okay, now you tell me, this is how much money's coming through the system and subsidies, and it needs to either be reallocated so that there's enough for $15, or there has to be more money put in. You figured it out. Here's our numbers. That's it. And so stop saying you can't afford that. Forget that. No, it's called value. We need to place value, not for $15 an hour. That's ridiculous. It should be $24 an hour. Right. All right, let's get real here. Come on. Look at you guys. You're fabulous. This is ridiculous, $15 an hour. You got to be kidding me. Why would you be paying an educator in your school the same amount as a cashier? Right.
That's true.
That's the conversation you need to have with them. Not, I can't afford $15. Tell me where you, or Mr. Government, just shut it all down. Now, I'll tell you what we have going for us. We do have Joe Biden in there. He is going to focus. Yes. And I can tell you one thing, we got Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and she's going to be a big deal. So, and she really, she started all this. She's like really behind us. So you're sitting at the right time.
So Robin, we're really going to need your coaching to really pull together our local, state, and national message, right? And then we as early childhood development and social entrepreneurs in the business of developing young people, our collective message, right? That not only lays out the need for them to subsidize, but also being able to show them the return on investment, right? That bigger picture, right? And so
I'll tell you, they know the bigger picture. This is BS. You don't even have to spend any time. You got to say, first of all, the bigger picture here is, they know the picture of the children. The bigger picture here is, how do you value the talent that it's going to take to create the outcomes that are necessary in order to manifest a population, right? And I hate the word school, and you know what? School readiness is the stupidest term. You're getting these kids life ready. That's another thing you got to say. School ready? Are you kidding me? Who cares? I can get my kid to kindergarten. You're getting them life ready. You're getting them to graduate high school. You're getting them to go to college, right? You're changing generations of families, getting the first in college. I mean, this is craziness. Well, everybody knows me. So I'm really glad to help you. I'm glad to yell and scream, but you guys got to do the hard work. So you tell me what you need. That's it. Simple. Yeah. All right. So Jeff, since this was your party, and Louise, I want to thank you. And Jeff, what do you? Jeff, we went off on another direction, but I think it was a good direction.
Oh no, I think it's great. I think as I said earlier about adjusting ourselves to the winds is blowing. Childcare is always been there have been a lot of people before I even got involved in it. But a lot of people outside of those of us that are involved in it still sometimes don't take it as a serious thing. There's still, unfortunately, people who see it as glorified babysitting. However, I think more now than before, a lot of people are seeing it for what it really is you are laying the foundation for children to be successful in kindergarten, elementary, middle, high school, and even college. You know, I use the example of my daughters, but, you know, I had the opportunity, and I've shared this before, the outgoing chief of police or director of police for Miami-Dade County. He and I had a discussion once, and he was talking about how do you stop gun violence? And Reverend Dinkins hit on it. He said, you want to know how you stop it? And to hear him say this was just, he says, you know how you stop it? Education starts in childcare. These were his words, childcare. Because when children, you're not babysitting them, you're getting them ready to succeed, regardless of all the other challenges that they're going to meet. But you're getting them ready to be successful. But you've got to be successful yourself. So that's where it ties in as taking care of the families and taking care of your business. And people forget, you're also creating opportunities for other people to work and have employment. And so the $15 is coming, an hour is coming. It's how, as providers, now, as DCF is the regulatory piece of it and doesn't get involved in that aspect, I do applaud you all and think that there has to be a push for it, because I do know that there are some places in this country where they have private sector and a lot of people involved where the teachers that they, you know, some of them have the same credentials as a Dade County public, but they pay them. And, you know, they subsidize it because it's not going to, you know, generate on its own. But those are things that you may want to look at as well. At the end of the day, where's the money coming from? You've got to have to run your business, but you've got to educate these kids at the same time, because those that don't get it are going to be the ones that get pulled, unfortunately, get pulled into the gangs and get pulled to the side because they feel they don't fit in, because they don't understand math, they can't read the basic things. And that's how that gets started. So, you know, I applaud you for what you're doing. As far as the regulatory piece, DCF is always here to support you. But I do have to say one thing, and I've said this, I was mentioning this to Robin before, and I don't know if everybody heard it, but I know for a fact that when I was in childcare as a supervisor back in the day, that, and there may be some on this call, but they were centers who were at their wits' end. They didn't understand what they were doing. Their heart was in the right place, but they didn't know how to run a business. They got involved with BLI and then became mentors. And I even had one of them come up to me and say, thank you for introducing me to BLI. And it's teamwork. It's not just BLI, it's not just ELC, it's not DCF, the regulatory body. It's ELC, it's everybody. And no matter where you as providers get your information from, always make sure that you're getting the facts. And I would encourage you, in the environment that we find ourselves in, that you get as much information, and like Robin said, and put what you've got to put together and go forward. Because if not, you'll be left behind. But more importantly, our children, our future, will be left behind. And so we are all in this in different aspects, but we have to work together. And Robin, I thank you for always coming out and always keeping it factual and sticking to the facts and keeping it clear. Put all the glam aside, and that this is what it is. But once you know where you're working from and what you got to do, then you can move forward. And as providers, there's a lot of resources out there. Again, you know, it's not one person together shop or